Hey, everybody, we're live, and I am delighted to present finally this year my longtime friend Nancy Sidebotham, who is running for Oakland City Council at large.
Yes.
And Nancy, it is awesome, my friend, to have you here. It really is.
Thank you, Cindy. And I feel the same. Thank you.
And thank you for candidly all the help that you've been. You know, I'm here in Georgia caregiving for my mom, and it's been my greatest job of my life. Yeah. You know, my mom will turn 90 a week from Tuesday, and that's my greatest job of my life. You know, my mom will turn 90 a week from Tuesday, and that's my greatest job of my life. That was you know what I had? I had a, unbeknownst to me, I had the other YouTube file open, but then somehow, gremlins being gremlins, it went in and it turned on the volume.
Hey, machines got a mind of their own. I've been learning that one.
Yeah. Either that, or you know, I would prefer that as opposed to somebody in my, you know, having figured out a way to get into my computer.
Right. Yeah. Well, my saying today is dogs, cats, and computers all have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
And then somebody brought up 13-year-olds and 20-year-olds. So I'm going, okay, we'll add them.
I was thinking somebody else might say, you know, depending on which side of they are girlfriends or boyfriends.
Well, I'm not going there.
I mean, I was always attracted to women who did have a mind of their own. And it didn't get me married, but whatever.
Hey, you know, you'll get there one of these days.
From your lips to God's ears. So there you go, right? Hey, so Nancy, tell us, how many times have you ran for office?
I have no idea. I started in 89, 90. I've run for District 6 a couple of times. I've run for mayor, I think twice. And at large, I think 3 times. I'm not quite sure. I don't keep track of that stuff. I do it because I want to educate and I want to get the truth out there. And, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But it's up to the voters on how they handle it.
And I'm not asking for that reason or to be mean. I'm asking you, of course not. I'm asking you because my next question is, what's the burning desire that causes you to want to get out there again and again and again and make your point? And it's not because my point, because I'm saying that in all the years I've known you, there have been some consistent themes with your message. One of them is that Oakland government.
You're cutting in and out, Zinni.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here. You're cutting in and out.
Okay, I'll repeat that.
Now I can hear you.
Okay, I'll repeat that.
There you go.
Okay, I'll repeat that. There have been some consistent themes in your running for office over these years.
Right.
The main consistent theme is that government isn't working right. Oakland government. The other consistent theme is that people running Oakland government really don't seem to care about what the electorate thinks. And the third consistent theme that I can think of is that we can do better, but there are people out there who seem as if they don't want us to do better. Have I got it right so far? Is that fair? Is that a fair,
yes,
you know, representation? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it's a fair assessment. Yeah, and that's a fair assessment, and it's still there because Oakland's now in the sewer, literally. Unfortunately, we keep electing people that make promises right and left and talk a good spiel when they're running, and people fall for this. And once the elected get in office, 3.5 years later, they're off doing whatever their hidden agenda's been all this time. And we don't hear from them again until it's time to run for re-election again. And then they start the same mantra all over again about all these promises. And we keep paying the price. And this is something that, you know, this is politics. But unfortunately, it's blatant in Oakland. And looking at the people that have been in office and the cliquishness of the council, because that's what happens. That's one of the reasons that people need to seriously think of getting rid of the district voting and make it a whole city voting so that everybody on that council answers to the whole city instead of having them play against, which is usually downtown, 2, 3, 4, 1, all gang up, and 5 and 7 and 6 pay the price.
Mhm.
And that, unfortunately, is the way it's been going on for years. And it really got blatantly out of hand when our former governor came in, and Oakland really started going downhill after that when they went to the strong mayor. And the mayor really has no power. People don't understand that, other than running departments. And ranked choice voting, which nobody understands. And unless you know how to play the numbers, you don't have a clue who's gonna get in, and that's part of Oakland's problem.
You know, interesting. You said a comment about district elections. I find fascinating because I thought district elections worked better with a council manager form of government than with the strong mayor. And where I'm going with this is that under strong mayor, the mayor chooses the CAO over and above the wishes of the council.
Correct. But
Which
the council still has to approve.
Right, the council has to approve, but the council can't fire the CAO.
Yes.
See, that's what I'm
No,
getting
they
at.
can't. Only the mayor can, and yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm
That's
getting
correct.
at. That's what I'm getting at. And so effectively, the power of the district council member has been neutered.
Yes.
And so it's harder for the district council member to say, hey, you know what? Chief Administrative Officer X was working on Project Y in my district. And now you, Mayor A, are getting rid of the CAO, and therefore my project is threatened. It's a long-term project. The mayor doesn't have to care.
Right.
Right. To me, that's the biggest.
And then again, it depends who's hired to replace that person. And most of the people that have been hired are coming from out of state, knowing nothing about Oakland and knowing nothing about what the needs are in the city. And that hurts the city drastically because they're on a learning curve for the next couple of years. And unfortunately, it hurts us royally. And we have how many people living in Oakland, and we have to go outside of Oakland to hire somebody?
No, it's yeah, and
there's a problem there.
Right, and we turned
especially
away.
Especially
we turned away some good people.
Oh, qualified people that should have been in that office. Because they're not yes people. That's part of the problem.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at. This whole hiring of out-of-state people, like for example, her CAO, I don't remember. I'm really jogging my brain here. Well, okay.
The people that.
Go ahead. The people that what? I heard something.
The people that we elect into office. I mean, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The people that we put into office, I mean, a lot of them have not a clue what they're doing, and that's part of the problem. And they start playing follow the leader, and not getting anything done in their districts because they don't know how to lead, how to do anything, who to talk to, and who they hire for staff. So there's a lot of issues that need to come into play, and the charter needs to be looked at. Oakland's never had a financial audit ever, because guess what? The charter says they can only do performance audits. And Oakland is in desperate need of an outside audit because millions of dollars have been coming into the city for a number of years. Where's it all gone?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a great point and a great question as to where it's all gone. Where's it? There's to that. And
who the players are, because we're using a lot of nonprofits to do a lot of work in Oakland at the expense of staff that has the knowledge to do those projects. And that's the other issue that no one's talking about.
I've talked about it because that was the case with Howard Turner.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
right.
But these are why. Right, but these are the reasons I run, Zinni, is because the truth needs to come out, and we need to start looking at who is running the city, how they're running the city, and who they're answerable to, because they're not answerable to the voters or the residents of Oakland. And that's the main problem that's going on here today.
And something else, I was thinking of Howard Turman. I was thinking of the hiring of Betsy Lake and Molly Mayburn, neither of which know tax increment financing. Betsy Lake was still assistant city manager. Molly Mayburn was a project manager for Howard Terminal. And Betsy would run around telling people, well, we can't use tax increment financing over in the other area of Jack London in the bigger place because you don't want all that land taken away from the general fund. And that really, what she said is inaccurate because, first of all, we as a city only gets about 17% of each property tax dollar. The rest of it goes to our taxing agencies, the school system, the county of Alameda, the flood control district, so on. And so, but however, if all of that is collected by a public financing authority under enhanced infrastructure financing district law, that authority is controlled by the city. The city can arrange for a pass-through of 30% of that money. And guess what? It gets more on each dollar than it would have gotten, if it was just left alone.
If it just sits.
Right. Plus the rest of it is going right back into that area to help redevelop it, right? So I'm thinking, these folks, what's wrong going on here? And you said it yourself. The staff doesn't have the experience. They hire these consultants, but then they don't have any experience to oversight the consultant. So the consultant makes these mistakes like Century Urban does, and there's nobody to call them on except me. And then, I get yelled at by Lauren Taylor. We had an argument about it. He goes, well, they are the consultant. I said, I have 37 years of experience. I have more experience than they do. You're going to tell me that I'm right, that I'm wrong. They're wrong. Just because they're the consultant, you're paying them $1 million, and I'm not. And, seriously, that's the kind of stuff that we've had going on.
And again, that's the problem. And what they need to do is, I would love for you to interview Henry Gardner about all of this, because I'm willing to bet he has a lot of information based on the fact that he is the last city city manager that knew anything and knew how to run the city.
I seriously doubt Henry will talk to me.
He won't come, I know.
Well, you know why? The reason is that...
No, but that's okay.
Well, I'll just put out here and then we'll go back to you because I have a question. But the reason basically is that is simply that I was in a live stream with he and others related to the JP and the EIED, the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District idea.
Right.
And they basically tried to shut me down from saying anything about it, the idea that I came up with. And I just wasn't going to be treated like that. I got tired of it.
Yeah, but Cindy, that happens to everybody when they come up with what's right.
Yeah, but you don't talk to grown men like the way they talk.
People that know their issues and bring it forward. Well, I've been shut down. I don't get coverage. I'm blocked because they don't want the truth out there. And if people finally got educated on what the truth was, this city would be in a lot of trouble. See, as far as I'm concerned, every property owner that pays taxes in this city they're going to start listening. I mean, put it in your bank account so it's separate, so the money's there. Don't spend it, but stop paying taxes, every single property owner.
That's right.
On top of that, we have a county that's supposed to be taking care of the homeless. That's their job, not the city of Oakland.
Right.
And we've got millions of dollars that have come into this city. Where is it? Who got paid?
Yep.
And every nonprofit that's involved with this city needs to be audited by the IRS, big time, because there's a lot of issues that need to come out about how this city has been treated by the outside forces that the city has allowed and the county has neglected to protect.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm getting at. I mean, when do we get to a point is it a lawsuit? Where do we get to a point where we stop this? We just say, hey,
it doesn't have to be a lawsuit, because that's the only thing anybody understands anymore today is getting in court, going to court.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. But people don't come together. I mean, with all the stuff that happened during the pandemic, people that got hurt during the pandemic, everybody played this game because of who they were protecting based on who their interests were behind the scenes. And groups got hurt in all of this. This shouldn't have happened.
No, you're right. Or just not common sense, because
not how you run anything.
Right.
You work it so everybody. But that's not how things are done, because everybody's pushing for their self-interest and what they're going to get out of it. And that's why Oakland is in the hole, and it's going to take years to get out of it, because the buildup that needs to come around. When you start putting parking meters all over the town, because that's the way you're going to raise money.
Yep.
Where's all the money gone that you brought into this town? Salaries are being paid outrageously in Oakland, while other cities around us, including San Francisco, don't even pay those salaries to their staff people, etc. Those are questions that need to be asked, is how does this happen at the expense of running the city, cleaning the streets, getting the potholes fixed, and having an economy again? I mean, crime is out of control because Oakland's always had gang member problems.
Yeah.
But the name of the game is we should have 150,000. And we have a police department of less than 500. What is wrong with this picture? And then we have the disrespect, and then we have a police commission that hasn't a clue of what they're doing because of the guidelines that have been set up by council members not doing it. So they're cut and dry of people that can be allowed on that commission. Instead, they're handpicked by people in the audience because that's the way it was forced on them by certain council people, and it shouldn't have been done that way. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at, and a lot of things that need to be reassigned and reinvented in order to make this city work again, and stop having personal opinions in there that are getting involved in other cities, and in those cities are 2 cents to disrupt how those cities are run. This is serious business. People think that once they get a title that they had power, and what they do is cause more problems than have any power at all.
All too true. So Nancy, suppose you won. What would you do? What would be your first action to make life better for Oaklanders as you see it? What would be your first action?
Okay, wait. You blocked off. You're blocked off.
I did? You want to repeat the question?
Yeah. I didn't hear. Okay. I didn't hear a thing.
Sure. Okay. Suppose you win. What's your first action? What will you do? And I'm happy to repeat it a third time if there's a hiccup or something. Let me see what's going on.
The first action is to get a city in Sacramento that has to authorize it, and the only way you can do that is go through an assembly person or a senator that has to ask the auditing committee to go forward with it. And that's one of the first things I ask. The other thing is I would like to form a citizens committee to go through the charter, and that charter needs to be and modernize the charter to bring it to this day and age instead of living the old world, which is not working anymore.
That's a great idea. Why don't you?
And then again, working as a team. All the council members need to be looking out for the whole city. Yes, their own districts. Mm-hmm. But I just found out that the mayor's office is allowing district council members to appoint people outside of their districts to boards and commissions. If you're representing a district, you should be appointing from your district. But now we're appointing from outside the district.
Wait, I mean, I have to review the charter. Does the charter actually allow that?
Because the person in the mayor's office said they could do that. What is wrong with this representation?
Wait, but does the charter say we can do that? I have to check.
That's what I'm saying. These are things that need to be studied. I mean, I can't be all over the place reading the charter and doing all the other stuff that I'm doing as well, all the other things that I'm doing as well.
Well, it might help. I mean, I should be able to read.
But I don't have a problem with the appointments. They're good appointments, but they're not. But these are things that need to be looked at. I mean, there's a whole slew of things, items that need to be looked at throughout the city, and boards and commissions need to be allowed to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of cutting them and putting people on there that don't show up to meetings. They're, that have their hidden agendas. Again, we're back to hidden agendas that continue to be the main problem for how the city functions. And that needs to stop. We're not attending to any of them. And haven't for quite a few years, and it goes back to the appointment of a former governor.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so you also been around.
It's gone downhill ever since.
You remember we had 3 sports teams. Now they're gone.
Yep.
What's your view on bringing them back, or sports back in general?
Well, right now, anybody that's going to be working with the Coliseum and the auditorium there, they've got to redo the whole sewer system, because that's all shot, because our water table is only 10 feet below ground there. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons left, is because of the Coliseum. So that's one of the things that needs to be addressed. And bringing a sports team back here, they need to want to come back here. We are a beautiful city. We are a wonderful city. We have the people that back the sports teams, but we need to also, when the sports teams come here, get out of it as a government. All those sports teams first started, when government found out they could make money off them, that's when they got in and started screwing everything up, and that's when everything started going downhill. If we're going to have government involved in everything, then we need to hire people and elect people that know what the heck they're doing. And that's part of the problem, is we're electing people that are following whoever's making the demands, playing behind the scenes, and it's cost us millions, and it's cost us our sports teams.
How would you fix that, though? Would you get an investor? How would you fix that?
Well,
how would you make that change?
Hopefully, if the money comes through based on the underselling of the Coliseum area,
mm-hmm.
and using it for something that it should not be mm-hmm. hung up, it depends. I mean, there's ballparks that I just read someplace that another ballpark baseball team is being either that or a football team is losing their spot in the city that they're in. I mean,
the White Sox you're thinking about? Chicago White Sox, they have had like 17 people attend their games.
Fisher's talking about, huh? Excuse me?
I said,
you cut out on me again.
Are you talking about the Chicago White Sox? They've had as few as 17 people allegedly attend their games. Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, that's not the one I was thinking about. There was another one that I just saw someplace either yesterday or today that's just got hit with being turned from. I don't know whether it's I don't think it's a major sports team. I think it's one of the minor ones. But mm-hmm. in the meantime, sports there's an issue out there. One, we pay players a heck of a lot of money.
Yep, we do.
And they need to make it up in the stands and stuff in order to be able to pay the players that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we had people that teachers and stuff that don't make the money. And you start comparing who's actually enjoying playing. I mean, it makes people ask questions about what our priorities are and, you know, how we accept how our money is spent and who's getting what. I mean, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, but how you bring a ball team back to the city, first we have to build the city back up again.
Mm-hmm.
Can't bring somebody in here if we don't have any place to put them. And until we rebuild the Coliseum area and redo the sewage issues, etc.
And that includes Hagenberger, right?
It's not worth bringing a ball team there because that's good. Port terminal. That's what the third largest port in the West Coast. You've got to be very careful how you deal with that area with those.
Yeah, you're right. Third largest. You're right. Third.
And, yeah. And you have to be very careful how you deal with that.
Long Beach. So we're the second.
I think it's a third because you got Long Beach and you've got Seattle.
Yeah, but I think we're larger than Long Beach.
Okay. Well, whichever. One or two. You know, I'm not going to argue that one. But, you know, we have to look at the sea is rising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The sea is rising. So we've got to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
All that area is going to be underwater soon. And not necessarily in the next 50 years, but it's going to be getting there. I mean, and so they're going to have to be protecting that area and start building apartments along the bay when you've got that environmental future coming down the pike. People need to start looking at how and where this money is being spent and where housing is going to be down the road.
I quite agree.
So, and if we're one of the three largest ports, 1, 2, or 3, we also need to protect our investment in our port because guess what? That's the only major business that's bringing money into Oakland.
What happened to making cars? We used to make cars. We used to make cars and shipbuilding here. Whatever happened to all that? We just let it go away. Why?
We wanted to kill the unions off. We wanted to so we started sending everything overseas. And when we started that game and our government allowed that to happen, and we're still doing it. Now we're sending it to Mexico and we're sending it to Brazil, Argentina. We're sending it all over the place. We don't have it in this country because we're sending it overseas to do all the work because it's cheap labor. They want to know why percussion, but to do what they've got to do if they want the toys that advertising tells you need to have in order to enjoy life. Right. You have to have a cell phone and you have to pay $1,600 for a cell phone, or you have to have the biggest TV there is, or whatever that these kids seem to be ingrained with, you know. I mean, so they're out there doing what they've got to do in order to fill their pockets, even though it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we've allowed society to become. And this is part of the problem. And we need to start looking differently. And we need to start teaching things in school that start giving these kids the tools in order to be able to become self-employed or to do a job. And now they're making houses out of plastic and they're making this. I mean, they're changing how everything is done, and it's all being done by machines.
Hey, so being at large.
What's wrong with this picture?
Right. So being at large council member, though, will give you the bully pulpit from which to make these points, which would be a pretty powerful thing, huh?
Of course, but that's not what you look at. The name of the game is it has to be a team effort. It has to be a team effort, Zinni. If I happen to win, I have that job, but it's who my staff is and working with the citizens in the city so that we start working to get an idea of what we can do that bring us all together to make things change. You can't sit there and do it on your own. I'm not walking around with an ego and I have an ego. We all have an ego. But I'm not walking around with an ego that once I get elected, I'm important. I'm no important than the guy walking down the street or the homeless person sitting on the curb. I'm just there. But the name of the game is we need people in office that are going to start working as a team to get things done and fill positions that are costing us through laws and going through lawsuits and stuff based on how we've handled the situation.
Oh, speaking of which, what's your feeling about the Cole lawsuit against Phil Tagami? I haven't asked anyone that.
I'm just waiting to be back because that's going to affect the Coliseum. That whole lawsuit is going to be affecting how the Coliseum is set because a lot of this stuff did not go.
Your voice broke up a little bit. How is that going to affect? Can you repeat that? Your voice broke up. How is that going to affect the Coliseum?
We've got to change. No, there's a lawsuit that's involved with the people that were bringing the coal. They wanted to bring the coal to Oakland, and now they're suing, and now they're in court based on how the Coliseum was handled and how it's affecting how they were treated. And I think I sent that to you.
Yes.
That came out. There was a write-up about it about a month ago. So that's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay.
Huh?
Not what publication would that?
Again, it's how the courts handle it.
Sure. Well, do you think that the Signature Properties Brooklyn Basin that was built by Mike Gilmetti you think that's successful?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh yeah, it's successful right now, but okay, you're cutting in and out on me again.
Okay.
I got Gilgetti and then successful and then what happened?
Okay. Do you think the Signature Properties Mike Gilmetti project was successful? I happen to think it was. I just want to know your thoughts. I think we have a freeze here. Maybe they'll call me Mr. Freeze.
I haven't heard a thing you said, Zinni.
Okay, I'll repeat. Do you think Mike Gilmetti's project at Brooklyn Basin was successful? I happen to think it was. That's the question.
Yes. But
yes.
Again, when the time but yes, it was successful, and what they've done down there has been a really nice job. So no, it was a good.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know if you heard me from that one. So we have a freeze again.
No, I can hear you now.
Okay. We should pick this up again because something about, I don't know what's happening. But in fact, let's do this. Let's pick up a part 2 later this week and we can finish that one. And I'll dig around and work on what's going on with this video. We'll leave this video up. But folks, we're going to be back. Out of fairness to Nancy, give her a clean copy, if you will. Some of the questions that we're discussing will be repeated, and we'll be able to go on from there, okay? And meanwhile, figure out what the gremlins are. Could be with this platform. Didn't happen before, all right? So subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Nancy, thank you so much. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Stay put, all right?
I'm here. I'm here.
All right.
I'm here.
We'll be back, folks. All right, see ya. All right.